Tuan, dan Puan. Salamat Petang, Malaysia.
And greetings to everyone all around the world.
I'm Mara Aquino.
And I'm LaFell.
And welcome to the M5 World Championship Wildcard Stage. After 3 days of duking it out here in the group stage, the 8 teams all across the regions were finally down to the last 4.
And today, there will be 2 best-of-5 series to complete the wildcard stage, where we will have a complete 16 teams going to the Philippines.
That's right. We have the Mongolian powerhouse Team Little Gun going up against the Laotian Grim Reapers, Nightmare Esports. But before that, we have the Malaysian hometown heroes, Team SMG, going up against the Shapers of Meta from Peru, Imperio Esports.
As we approach the final day of the first ever wildcard event in the history of the M Series, let me just ask you, Mara. We made a lot of memories, but what sticks out to you?
If I'm not gonna be biased, you stick out to me. I don't know if you guys watched LaFell yesterday, but you're pretty funny. You're one for the books. You're one for the books. You have to be. We have to watch you. But if we're gonna be talking about the teams, I guess the emerging teams from all across the regions. Specifically, I would have to say Imperio and Umbrella.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've been bringing out the Gushin, the Yishanxing. So
we see a lot of Leomore. There's a lot of heroes.
Yes, and Yuzong, things that heroes that are meta in their region that's surprising us.
Yeah, I would say in the Southeast Asia meta, we haven't seen those heroes for a while, and the fact that they win with it. I mean, choosing is one thing, winning is another.
What about you? What's the most memorable for you, LaFell?
Oh, personally for me, this wildcard stage has been a lot of firsts for me. It's the first time I got to work with Naisu on stage, so that's number one. And it's the first time we see the wildcard in Malaysia, where we are the ones starting the trend. And thank you to everyone here for showing your support. Without you guys, we're nothing. Thank you very much.
And I hope it's been memorable for you guys as well. And we're gonna make more memories for today as we head onto the final day, the crossover match. Now, everyone here at Geospace are all hyped up.
Let me test the energy. Are you guys ready? All right, they look pumped.
They're pumped, the casters are set, and the players are more than ready to be
better than great.
The road to the M5 World Championship is about to take a sweet turn for one of these teams. Greetings to everyone, I'm Gideon, joined by Naisu as well as Arashi to bring you the crossover match, the first best-of-5 series of our crossovers between Team SMG versus Imperial Esports.
Can't wait for it to start, but before we talk about the match, of course, we have to thank our sponsors, because without this would not be possible. Thank you guys so much. M5 is powered by Moonton, presented by Kadia, and supported by ROG, the official gaming phone grab, of course, the official super app partner, and of course, Secret Lab, the best in official gaming chairs.
Thank you to all our lovely sponsors on behalf of us on the desk and all from the fans as well, because this has been an amazing event. Thank you guys. It would not have been possible without you.
Now, and a special shout out to our global presenting partner, Qiddiya. Qiddiya is a giga project, a city that is being built in Saudi Arabia, and it is the future capital of entertainment, sports, and culture.
And Qiddiya aims to change the world of gaming and esports. Don't forget to follow them on all their social media at Qiddiya Gaming on Instagram, at Twitter, and TikTok. Stay tuned because they've got amazing giveaways for you guys as well.
Now, the M5 Pass is now live. Unlock the Yudsong M5 exclusive Dragon Shade skin and Prime Cosmic Dragon. If you don't know what it looks like, we got one right up here on stage. The full model once you complete the entire pass.
You can get all the levels, right, up to level 75 for free. So make sure you grind it, get a ton of M5 exclusive rewards, and make sure that you get your friends in on the action as well. Gift it to them and get going, man.
it's honestly, I think that with the past, with everything that has been going on here at the Wild Cards, it has been a long journey this past weekend. A long weekend for some of us, but more importantly, for some of these teams, their journey has been excruciating. Some teams that we were expecting to actually do well, like Team SMG, have dropped some games to some other teams unexpectedly.
Yeah, and I think, I feel like just wild card in general has served that purpose of being wild, right? There's been a lot of surprises. There's been a lot of, like Mara and LaFell talked about on the stage, there's been a lot of surprise picks, something that some of us aren't used to seeing, and they made it work. You know, that's something that was very impressive from Imperio that we'll see later. The way that Aurora moves around the map with the rest of his team with confidence in that lane, I feel like is going to put a lot of pressure against Team SMG.
Well, I mean, overall, with the way the groupings have been working out for some of these teams, let's have a look at the standings in case you missed out some of these matches, or more so, you're curious about some of these results. Starting off in Group A, we have Team SMG with their overall match win-loss of 3-0, having not dropped a single series in Nightmare, right under them at 2-1. In Group B, we have Team Lil Gun, and it's going to be Imperial right under them.
Yep, that match is going to be the first match we're going to see later on in Group A. Going up SMG, going up against Imperio, we have to see who actually comes out on top here. Both equally flexible and equally entertaining in the drafting phase all the way till the end of the games.
I'm nervous already. I'm thinking about it, I'm sweating about it, and I'm hoping that we are going to see the representatives to be worthwhile. Now, with today's schedule, and more importantly, with what we are expecting to see here today, I want to know a couple of predictions. But first, let's pull up the schedule here. Check it out. It's going to be Team SMG versus Imperial Esports right at the very beginning in a best-of-5.
And don't forget, if you guys are maybe here in Malaysia, come over to Geospace to support, of course, the Wild Card Tournament and tune in with friends if you're watching online. We know there's a lot out you there. But again, Team SMG kicking it off versus Imperial. And even later on, a team that people have had their eyes on for a while, Nightmare Esports. This is a team that has been together for quite some time. And I feel like, in a way, a dark horse, Lil Gun over here, who has made waves this year alone.
You have to remember that today, all the matches are a best-of-5, so it's going to be a lot more exciting. There's going to be a lot more potential and time for teams to really read each other out and really get going with the off-meta strategies, with the adaptations they can do in the middle of the game instantly.
Yep, this isn't day one anymore. This is a qualification spot to make it into M5 in the Philippines. And that is a lot of pressure, right? Considered to be some of the more minor regions across the world. Obviously, the gatekeepers here being Team Malaysia's Team SMG. I'm a little worried for them, right? Imperial have shown some real... I mean, I have to be, right? I can only be nervous for the hometown favorites.
Yeah, you know Team SMG pretty well, right? And I feel like one of the great things, I mentioned this yesterday about the wild card, is a lot of the viewers out there that may not have been able to tune in on some of these teams, right? This is their chance, this was their opportunity to show what they're made of. And even for the headliner today, SMG versus Imperial, right, for the motherland. That's, you know, speaks volumes for itself, and the amount of pride that these regions can bring to their parts of the world is just simply amazing about the wild card.
I think that even though that this is going to be the motherland, we have heard statements from Imperial Esports. They want to take on Team SMG and beat them in front of the home crowd. And that's a very big ask considering that, you know, they're from Liga Latam, right? They expect to see that crowd. They have dealt with that sort of pressure, that kind of loud energy when one team is favored over the other.
And they really want to get it done for their region, right? They are saying they want a full direct access to M6 potentially. They do not want to go from the wildcard series any longer. They believe they have what it takes and they deserve a spot right there. So they're going to try and prove it today. And against the crowd favorites, it's a tall order, but they seem absolutely confident.
I mean, we talk about getting that second slot every single time, but it was taken away from us here in Malaysia, and that's why we're here at the wildcards. Everybody is hoping to prove themselves to show that we are better than great. With that being said, though, I'm getting word some of these games are about to begin, and I'm getting all giddy about it with it. Boys, are you ready for this upcoming match here? Ooh, it is time. First, we are going to be bringing out the marshals, the people who are making sure that our integrity is at an all-time high. Tech issues will be settled quickly thanks to the help of our marshals here up on stage. Thank you so much, Zena, Ease, Oscar, and Abrija for your hard work. But with that being said, Introducing first, the Hometown Heroes. After securing the top seed of Group A, they're now entering the first crossover match, locked and loaded. Make some noise for Team SMG.
And again, this is a team that is well known here, of course, in Malaysia. They have proven so many things, and we know that they're after their own form of a redemption arc themselves. We even saw that special video on how they've managed to get to this point. We know the combinations and synergy that they can pull off. We'll see if they can do it today.
They wish to face the Hometown Heroes and express confidence in finishing them in front of the home crowd. Now, the Pride of Peru are standing by their words. Give it up for Imperial Esports!
The pioneers, the pathfinders from Peru here, trying to bring their unique flavor, their unique identity, and proving to the world that this is exactly where they belong. We have to see what they can bring out, man, because it's definitely gonna be unique.
I love this. I love this so much that both of these teams come from regions. They've got their own leagues, but they want that spot. They want that second spot so very bad. But introducing the coaches, the brains on top of the bronze from Team SMG, it's going to be Coach Bao as well as their analyst Lung, Imperial's coach El Vejo Max. Being a big time, like that IGN inspires confidence.
It does indeed. And so far, you gotta give it up to Imperial, right? The drafts that they've been able to pull off, execute very well. Even if some more of these niche picks that work really well for them. Again, the YSS that's pulled through, the Roger. We've seen things that work really well in the region, and they've managed to pull it off here against these powerhouse teams. Who knows what else they have in line and in store for us here.
Well, with that being said, let's have a look at the team lineups. Arashi, we're going to be starting to break down Team SMG for a bit with Sasa, Saksa, Smooth, Stormy, as well as Miko as the main five.
I think Miko is definitely highlighted in the roster right here, but you can't really forget about Smooth as well as Stormy, man. The fact that they all rotate so well together and so swiftly, it just becomes a big problem for teams. They can't really plan ahead here, considering that they do it at a split second, right? Before you know it, you can see the whole roster just show up in your lane, and if you're not careful, that could be the beginning of a huge snowball, and recovering against SMG is going to be very difficult due to how calculative their movements are in-game.
It feels like when you're playing against Team SMG that you're getting slowly strangled. It's not one of those explosive, like, knockout punches. It's just slow and steady.
And you know, to build up on that, it's also, if you watch Miko closely, he does this if he gets his hands on the Cho. We've seen teams actually ban out multiple roamers. He kind of fakes people out quite a bit, and that's a mini game in itself within the game, right? So something you have to work on there.
Well, let's see what Imperial Esports has to do to make it work with your Aurora, Marquino, Facian, as well as Steffe.
Okay, for this, again, Aurora has been a highlight for this squad, this team, right? Yep. And it works so well the way he works in the jungle, and I think it's supported, of course, by Steffe, and now you have to focus on also not just the jungle, but even the XP lane, right? Marquino is going to have to match up against what's being thrown at him here. We talked about Smooth already. We know he can be very smooth. So I feel like you have to have this step up now in these other lanes. Aurora's already shined. Expect Team SMG to focus on this. And like you mentioned, Gideon, they might try to choke out that lane alone.
I'm seeing a bit of a trend here. You know, the connections amongst the players, the synergies that need to be broken. For me, I'm seeing a lot of how Steffe and as well as Miko, as well as Smooth, like to play. It's those split-second decisions that really change everything in those crucial moments.
And considering how messy Imperial plays, it's not necessarily a bad idea, right? Against a calculative team, if you can bring chaos to the equation, that's exactly where you can bring them out of their comfort zone and get ahead. Individual performances from Imperial's roster is definitely something that needs to be talked about. Marquinhos, Fashion, as well as Aurora, they've made individual plays on top of synergized cooperative plays. So that is something that I think for SMG could be a big risk. They have to really calculate how willing are the members of Imperial to just go in randomly almost to try and get an advantage.
It's like mathematics compared to additional mathematics. One seems very simple and almost all right, but then you add the additional mathematics, you start adding the calculus, and it's confusing. You get so lost in the numbers.
That's why I love what LaFell did yesterday. He just went with everything and then said +1.
Plus
right?
one.
That seems to solve it enough. That's simple enough for him. But it's the thing about it is Imperial, they basically said that they wanted to face Team SMG, right? This is something that they hoped for, and now they've managed to get it to happen. Now, can they get the win here on the home ground for Team SMG? That would be a huge statement. And not only that, but this also has to kind of lean towards what we heard from Miko's interview, right? He wants to be able to stay calm. That was an interesting thing for the first time. I didn't know that he chews gum like that, and then the handwriting on the notes to stay calm. You know, and we even see, once that was announced, I saw other people online kind of doing the same thing, right? Writing on their hands and posting that. So maybe that becomes a trend in itself.
Look, I mean, Team SMG in particular are unique in that sense. They've been doing it for a long time in MPL MY, not just with this roster, but with every single member who has come in once they got their sports psychologist. But the important thing is whether or not Lung's, analyst Coach Lung's birthday buff extends over maybe just one day. And if we're talking about birthdays, shout out to Husky backstage. Happy birthday to you, and hopefully that buff alone could be the breaking point for Imperial, hoping that Team SMG might get that lead.
It's like a double birthday buff for SMG. But let's take a look at the player head-to-head right here for Saksa and Aurora. When it comes to KDA, Aurora is definitely standout. But in the Lord kill per game, that's where Saksa really has a bit more of an edge over Aurora. And in this level of competition here, the final match between the two, we have to see, man, the late game is definitely also a big issue. With SMG having all the nodes on their hands, knowing how to calm down and aim for a recovery. Even if Aurora does get ahead in the early game, there's a chance that they just have a plan ready to really shut him down once the mid game and late game rolls around.
I feel like there's two scenarios that we're expected to see here. It's either Saksa is able to secure every single one of these neutral objectives, while Aurora is going to be power farming until we reach that late game, because that's just how SMG plays. We haven't seen them close out a game pre-10 minutes or pre-12 minutes, unlike Imperial. They have closed out games pretty quickly.
Here's what I think. The trial here for Imperio, and just as we saw from the player head-to-head, is for Aurora to, we've seen him play the YSS, be very flashy, get a ton of kills. We saw that in the KDA. But now it's like, can you actually go toward the utility game? Can you fight these objectives? Can you contest them? Can you still pick those kind of heroes and rely on your team to help you for those Lord dances that we know are so important, especially later on in the game? And that is something that Team SMG and Saksa in particular has had many reps on, right? Now for Imperio, that's where I feel like if they can still go with their strategy, the playstyle they have shown us, and match that objective-taking playstyle, then that's where they can come in with an advantage, because we know that they like to play flashy, they like to go for those kills, and we've seen teams make the mistake too, give up too many early objectives for trying to get kills, and then it backfires on them, right? So that alone is something that Imperial really wants to kind of be in that headspace before even game one starts.
We have to see, man. That's a very great point, because with the aggressive style of Team Imperio, Team SMG are almost on the opposite end. They're so calculative and they strangle you. So in the early game, they can possibly really match the rotations and really stifle the bulk of the aggression coming in from Imperio. If that happens, then that's where it's going to fall onto those neutral objective takes in the mid game. That's where, like you mentioned, Naisu, the utility junglers might just come really handy, but Aurora hasn't really shown a lot of experience using those, at least in the tournament so far.
Well, that's the thing, right? Again, for a lot of these teams, they kind of take their time with these, especially on day one. Everybody looked rusty. Everybody looked a little out of practice, or maybe even jet-lagged. But now, this is it. This is their moment that they could set a name for themselves to change the world as we see it, to qualify for M5, and it all begins here today in this best of 5 series, Team SMG versus Imperial. Let us begin to draft.
There it is. That's already the YSS ban, by the way. So the respect is there. I feel like, again, Imperial has garnered the respect, not just from Team SMG, but from multiple teams now paying attention to this. And it's good because they do the exact same thing, right? This is someone that we talked about quite extensively, smooth with that R-Lot. Now, what is left open, too, was the performance of Stormy with the Valentina and the Lilia. Those are probably priority picks that could pop up. But the Bruno, a mainstay so far for first pick.
Yep. I mean, yours going to be a little upset. It's like, okay, fine. They took away the usage and they took away the Bruno. What else do you want to take away from us? We're going to immediately lock in that farm, as we've seen how devastating that mid lane duo with the help of Stefe really kind of maneuvers around if they are trying to protect the king.
And with the Faramis picked up right here, usually we see them really willing to go for a double support, but they're going to go for Terizla early on here, trying to secure a power pick for Marquinhos to try and really make plays around the map.
He's going to do a roll
They're still
live.
doing it.
He's doing a 10. He did
Why?
it.
What?
He just got it.
Just one of the day. Let's go.
Hey, yo, this isn't even like, I'm pretty sure.
Even the players.
I can't. He didn't even have pity. He didn't even have pity, and he just nails it. Well done.
Even the players want to know what's going on.
That was insane.
That's so nuts.
That came out of nowhere.
Hey,
Oh
what a
my
way to
God.
start the day. By the way, if that, because that's on Team SMG side, you guys talked about a birthday buff, right?
Oh.
I think he got the birthday buff.
Look, I'm not gonna push it forward. I'm not gonna push that agenda. I feel like the caster curse in me is starting to grow, and if it goes over the top, it might just be over for Team SMG. Now, following up on the picks, we are seeing the Joy as well as the Lilia from the side of Team SMG to close out phase 1, and from Imperial, we are seeing the Clint. Now, rather interesting here to go for the Clint in this particular situation.
Well, yours well known to play the 1-1, but since it's banned away, there's another a lot of marksmen that can really match the aggression and also the late game potential, like the Bruno. The Clint is one of them, and with the root, the immobilize that he has, it is still pretty safe, and that's why they're also banning the Joy, knowing that the Clint is also a ripe target to be pushed out of the Netherrealm with that Way of the Dragon.
We see the next 3 bans come out. It's the Cho as well as Boxia from the side of Imperial. From Coach Pao, he's thinking about it. I mean, Guinevere is already gone. I was expecting the Guinevere to be picked up relatively early this time, but, well, at least pushed on towards the second phase.
Oh, there's a statement right there, too. And I feel like, yeah, this is where Aurora kind of has to adapt, right? He's probably not going to get his hands on the YSS, so we'll see what he actually decides to park in the jungle. And not only that, but, hey, it's hammer time.
Terizla currently the most picked hero at the M5 wildcards, having been picked 20 times with a 55% win rate overall.
Well, it doesn't seem too high, 55%, but considering the amount of picks, it's definitely significant. But back to the topic of Aurora, though, are we going to see something like the Roger? Because again, with the Faramis, they want to go aggressive, they want to have that early game, they go for the Kufra pick. Relatively less seen in the Wildcard series so far, but when it's picked up, we saw Steffe just completely demolish on it just yesterday. Let's see, man. Is it going to be available to be done against SMG with so much cut control and possibly a lot of purifies as well?
It's pretty scary to think about this, but I feel that when we're seeing Kufra coming in from Steffe, and considering the style of Imperial, this is all for Aurora. He wants something that can dash, and a couple of things are coming to mind. I'm thinking about Ling, I'm thinking about Lancelot, or even Hayabusa maybe.
I would love to see it. If he does still kind of go that route again. We saw the head-to-head. I want to see what he is able to throw here at Team SMG. But that is also a Grok being picked up, plus the X-Borg. Great pick into the Terizla.
There
it is.
Called it. Called it.
Nice.
100% win rate, only one game, but against so much tankiness, against a Grok, they can also nullify a lot of the crowd control. We'll see if he can snowball as efficiently, because that is something that you definitely need to be looking for when you're playing this Roger.
Exactly, right? It's that first kill that makes such a big difference for Roger as he snowballs into the later stages of the game. But keep in mind, Team SMG's overall comp is pretty squishy. I mean, you have escape mechanisms, but at the same time, if you're below 50%, even 40%, you're in danger.
Not only that, but the biggest thing for Imperio is to time the Netherrealm correctly because of the pacing of this game, but also to work around this X-Borg. We have seen X-Borg be in the hands of Smooth before, and even though it might not be a high impact game in terms of kills, he does the positioning perfectly.
Well, it is time to head into the land of Dawn for the M5 World Championship wildcard stage. On the blue side, we have Team SMG up against Imperial Esports on the red side for our first game in this best of 5 series. Arashi, break down these compositions. What are we looking for here?
I think for the side of Imperial, it's pretty obvious, right? Go in aggressively, have that Netherrealm to play around with, and for SMG, I think it's stall out the laning phase, and then afterwards, in the neutral team fight, abuse that Lilia damage, and maybe use that control to really stifle the rotations coming in from Imperial.
Well, let's see how much, as Marquinhos taking a little bit of damage. He should be okay here, right? He's not going to give first blood just like that.
Yep, should be fine as he is. But again, that Body of Smith, that passive will help him. as long as he needs it, right, through the majority of the game, but you just don't want to take too much damage early on because we know that's what they're looking for. Team SMG wants to get the snowball, the momentum going early on.
I think at the battle spells, no Purify on Fashion on the Faramis. It's a risky option, but considering only a wild charge is cause for concern, maybe it's okay, but Marquinhos.
So dangerous.
Whoa!
That's going to be a pretty easy kill for Soxa. First blood, Team SMG.
Yep, and that's also going to be a lot of gold shielding going over to Smooth. Like, Smooth likes winning out his lane. He's considered one of some of the best laners specifically here in Malaysia. So now that you have that counter matchup, he just wants to press that advantage as much as he can.
We've seen Imperial kind of lose momentum when the EXP gets pressured. It's going to be Soxa trying to go and shut Marquinhos down even further. Looking at the battle spells though, and the emblems in particular, the agility and the wilderness blessing in the mid lane, that's how you know they're planning on just roaming, not exactly going for a 1v1. But maybe that expectation is what Imperial can use to really trap Stormy in a bad situation.
I personally feel that in these types of situations, I feel like Team SMG could potentially make the call to, you know what, let's just give up this neutral objective, right? Let's just give up this turtle. We don't necessarily need to be here, and our laners are doing phenomenally.
I think they're going to fight it anyways, you know, at least they're going to go ahead and park Smooth there. Of course, the gold laner is going to go ahead and hash it out in the bottom lane, but once again, Aurora, he kind of needs these buffs, and this is his play style, so we'll see if they actually commit to it.
Looks like the rest of Imperial are...
The wild charge is going to come through, but it's going to keep him back. Penalty zone to jump in. It's still working for a revenge strike as well. Here comes Aurora looking for the kill. Soxa will get the turtle. Now they're going to have to win the fight. Aurora taking too much damage. It's Smooth. Gets the kill, and he's looking for Steppe. Can he get it? Double for Smooth.
Beautiful stuff, beautiful stuff. The impure rage for the earlier stages of the game, dominating his lane, and now with the lead, you feel his influence on the top side of the map.
It's exactly what Team SMG were planning, man. All that AoE really paid off. I mean, Nico's wild charge instantly looked a bit weird, a bit too rushed, but afterwards the follow-up was just on point, and Imperial, they like the damage to really contest in these big fights. They gotta go for skirmishes, man. 2-for-2s, 3-for-3s, something like that, in order for Soxa and Smooth to not really just dominate because of the AoE.
Now, one thing that a lot of people don't talk about are the side POIs. Whoa, Steppe, he's not going to die, right? The side POIs, things like the River Crab, for an example, is actually pretty important for a laner like Export. Once that Firaga armor is broken and you can't walk back up to lane, an easy way to kind of find these charges is that River Crab. Steppe's fine. He's good, right? He's great. Oh, wait.
But look, they're still going to be putting the pressure here now on yours. Steppe going to jump in. Good play. They get Stormy. There's the Nether Realm to help him out. They're going to keep Team SMG at bay.
Look at that, man. Aurora late to the party. Team SMG, they're just trying to make sure that they are the ones in control right here, making sure Imperial are always guessing, because Miko is just always around the corner.
Yeah, he's just going to take a couple shots. Aurora wants to commit to it, though. Going to use that retribution, but does not want to go under the turret with Sasa there.
Whew. Especially if he's going to take his time, but I mean, Smooth, once again, being really, really annoying. Marquinhos doesn't stand a chance against Smooth as of right now, but notice that at least Smooth is communicating to the rest of the team. The information that he provides allows Soxa to get a free orange buff, and they're still proxying the lane. Like, Marquinhos is going to be losing a decent amount of EXP if he can't get past Smooth.
Well, he finally gets past right here, but Marquinhos, well, if he's not really on curve, if he's really behind on the gold, he's one of the main front lines for Team Imperial. They need to make sure that Steppe is hidden in order to actually get those big engages. If Marquinhos is too squishy, it means that Imperial will not be able to really contest ground in the first place.
Guess it's just Imperial that wants to go ahead and give this up. Marquinhos had the information, but Smooth there on the front of the side, going to keep Imperial in that mid lane. So right now, it just seems like Imperial wants to just go ahead and give these up for now and try to get back from letting the gold lead get too far out of hand.
And honestly, everything is working out for the side of Team SMG. Despite it being 3-3, this 1.7k lead, and more importantly, where is this gold coming from? It's from the side laners, the gold and the EXP. We're talking about Smooth a lot, but Sasa is actually just bullying out Yor.
And of course, it's also from Soxa just farming really, really fast. I mean, the Joy is a great hero for farming as well as going for those ganks and kills. So for Imperial now, they have to try and find a way to really keep up in farm, but also to try and fight from the sides. If they go for a front to back, that Lilia and Bruno damage is going to be too much to deal with. If they come from the sides, even Smooth's damage on the X-Board can be mitigated to a certain degree.
They possibly can, but notice the movements coming out from Imperial, right? Again, Aurora's making some decisive decisions. Whoa!
Oh,
Whoa!
okay, penalty zone. Stefe goes in as well, gets a huge rage off, and now Smooth gonna have to flicker out. The rest of Team SMG to help him out, but they accomplished what they want. Miko goes in with a wild charge of his own. Aurora quite low, still gonna be working on it. He'll be fine though, but right now Imperial has an answer.
Man, I know we joke about Matilda Airlines, but have we talked about Kufra Airlines, the premium starship that we saw? This man went flying.
The fastest service in the air right now, man. They came out of nowhere. We thought Marquinhos was miscoordinated, but Stefe just steps in and steps up to the plate. Of course, now Team SMG with a tower taken in the mid lane, they're gonna try and get into Aurora's jungle even more. But it seems like with that play, they're a bit deterred here, knowing that Imperial can still strike back with a 1 to 2k gold deficit.
Yeah, I think people need to recognize that for Stefe, that's not exactly easy. You're going at max range, but you also have to flicker at the right position to make sure that your end spot is past 50% of the wall to make sure that you're on the opposite end. Aurora, he might be in a little bit of trouble as the rest of Team SMG start to collapse on this turtle.
Yeah, if they even want to contest this, he needs that nether realm, but he's going to be zoned out completely. Saxa will go ahead and get the turtle again. Now he's going to be focusing down. Feshin has to get the nether realm out himself. They're going to be stuck under the turret. There's the last insanity. Stefe has nowhere to go as he's whittled down. Feshin going to be the next one. Marquinhos, can he get there in time? He's too late. Now he's going to be the focus, and Aurora trying to help him out, but one after one will go down for Imperial. Is Aurora next? He has to give up the turret.
This is starting to look disgusting from Team SMG. A lot of chaos on the bottom side, and now maybe even another kill.
They're still going to go. They weren't done. Team SMG wanted more.
Way too much, man. Imperial, they are forced to really funnel one by one right there. They thought they could turn it around. It's worked for them before, but against Team SMG, it's a bit too much to ask for.
The laners are doing a phenomenal job. Chaos on the bottom side, turrets all across the board, a solo kill coming out from Sasa on that top side against Yor. This is really not looking good for Imperial. If you're in Imperial's position, Arashi, how do you deal with this based on the items and the state of the game?
Well, the main thing is they have to try and let go of some of these fights that they really are late to the party for, right? If you want to try and match Team SMG, that's fine. But if you arrive late and you funnel one by one like that, it's only going to serve to put you even further behind. Right now, it's a 700 gold deficit for Yor, but it's not fatal, right? He can still come back from this, and so can Aurora to a degree, but in the jungle, that's just a bit more difficult, especially with all the aggressive maneuvers that Team SMG are doing.
I think this is actually a set game plan for the side of Team SMG, right? They are really slowing down Aurora. I mean, they're even delaying the buff. It's not necessarily we have to steal your buff, we just have to delay, reset it time and time again with Smooth and Miko.
You talked about this before the draft, their play style, right, from Team SMG. They're probably going to choke out at least one lane, and that's kind of what they did. They hyper-focused on Aurora, but again, this all kind of happened with those early kills for Smooth as well, which was already a great pick into the Terizla, so it forces Imperial to kind of just constantly be trying to catch up here.
It's one of those situations where, you know, real life reflects these video games. In MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to choke somebody out compared to Muay Thai, looking for that big knockout.
It's a different style for sure. And now look at Team SMG. They're going for the Lord, but they're also trying to bait Imperial into a fight, seeing if they're gonna get impatient. And if they can find Yor maybe in this fight, they'll be great, man. At half HP now, then they gotta commit.
I don't think they can. They just have to give up the Lord here. Team SMG furthering the lead. Now they've got the Lord. We'll see if Imperial can defend against the push.
Dude, Saxa is 3 levels ahead of Aurora right now. Like, these neutrals are impossible to take, even if you get a 50-50.
They're going to find Smooth here. Armor's going to be gone, but it's cut off with the Guardian's barrier there. So Imperial has no option but to go back to base and get ready.
That's a big problem with that composition, man. You thought that he's gonna get picked off, but with the Firaga armor, he essentially has a second lease at life. And just to take out the armor, Imperial has to commit so many things, and you're stuck.
Oh, okay. Little misplay there. Steppe gonna go in with rage. They're gonna be able to hide Stormy. Now can they win another one? Sasa gonna be in trouble. They chase him down, and they find him. Miko the next target. They're still going for it. Smooth here to keep him at bay, but he could be in trouble as well. Sox is gonna jump in. They're whittled down. Smooth has the immortality, but Imperial has to deal with their base.
So remember when we were talking earlier about, wow, Stormy not taking the Purifier earlier, that's really, really bold of him. It pays off at least for Imperial Esports this time around. And I think we need to take a small breather here, right? The Lord is starting to walk up, but a majority of the members from the side of Team SMG are looking to back off. They're waiting for that second wave. I don't know if they're going to get an inhibitor turret off of this, but so far, I feel like Stefe is holding Imperial together right now.
I mean, he has the highest kills in the game. As a roamer, not ideal, but better than nothing, right? He's holding it in, he's making sure that he is on curve as well. If you have a tanky Kufra, it's also more risk for Team SMG to consider if they're trying to make all these bold, aggressive plays. With that warning though, with that moment, Imperial Esports are able to take down 2 members, but now Team SMG will be a lot more careful when they're walking around those danger zones.
We got 72 more seconds until the next Lord actually spawns. Team SMG with their slow playstyle, right? This is starting to get into, well, not dangerous territory, but on the cusp of it.
Yeah, again, even with the way, the past 10 minutes of this game have gone, Imperial is keeping it together, and I think, like you guys mentioned, Stefe's doing a great job, but he's been a key component to Imperial's success this whole wild card, right? Aurora's usually the one getting these MVPs, is shining, but Stefe is there all the time for him, and as we take a look at the replay here, you can see this kind of unfold, and it worked out well for them, right, for the most part, and I feel like Team SMG was kind of surprised here.
And even their decision there, they saw the Bruno and they're like, okay, that's a value target. So they expended several battle spells. They committed a lot because they know that's the prior target right there. If it turns out that Saksa was in the area, I think they're very happy and willing to take that fight, particularly because the main big damage that really burst them out of that Nether Realm is the damage coming in from Stormy on the Lilia. So he is definitely someone that's going to be hunted down in the middle of this fight.
I think if Team SMG wants to close out this game against Imperial before it gets really dangerous, this upcoming Lord is going to be very, very important. Because look at how quick that even though Aurora was getting slowed down, he's catching up, right? From 3 levels, now it's 2 levels, and eventually it's not going to matter anymore. And then it's about gold investment. I don't think he has enough of a hedge fund just yet, but I think that Team SMG are hoping that Imperial make that first move, whiff, and then get punished.
Usually the breaking point is at 15 minutes, more or less, and we are getting very, very close. But if you look at the wave management, you saw Team SMG send 1 member to the top side, but they don't push it in immediately. They want to make sure it builds up, and they're trying to use this macro play to really pull Imperial Esports apart. If one of them is forced to go up to the top side, it's going to be quite the easy Lord.
Oh, Miko, half health already. He's going to have to back off, but he's still going to be holding on to the wild charge. So Imperial having a bit of a hard time to get near this Lord as it's taken smooth. Already going to use the last insanity. He's going to find Marquino. And now Imperial on the run. Miko goes in with his own combination. Takes a couple shots, but they're still going to be chasing him down. Imperial has to get to their base, licking their wounds they've lost. Marquino.
Oh, they need to find something to reset here. If Fashion can cancel some recalls, maybe that could be good. But right now, Saksa, very healthy, smooth, almost about to get his Faraga armor back. And of course, Sasa, not even worried at all. He's got Hasbla. He can top up off of anything.
I don't know, wave to available for Imperial Esports right here, but they do have Marquinhos with the penalty zone up soon, so they can attempt a fight if they really want to, or they can just let SMG just suffocate them even further into this game. That team fight was just so difficult for Imperial to deal with, particularly because there's not a lot of mobility in the hands of Marquinhos, man. When he gets slowed down like that, it's so difficult. You might have to try and find some items to really deal with the slow over the damage.
Yep, we're getting to that break point of 15 minutes, you know? That's what you were talking about earlier. I feel the arm slipping under for the rear naked chokehold at this point, but still, I was hoping that Team SMG would just be a little more aggressive. I think they were hoping for more there.
Yeah, still. Actually, here could be looking for more, but this is what they do. They play around Migo, they play around smooth. Steph's gonna get trapped, takes a ton of damage, is taken care of quickly, still gonna be working for it. They have the Nether Realm there to help him out. Stefan barely surviving, gonna use that concealer as well. Imperial still pressured on the defense.
God, I love a good Grok player, man. Being able to alter terrain is such a powerful tool.
And Miko's barriers have been absolutely on point. I think there's been 6 or 7 moments in this game alone where the barrier has isolated one of the members of Imperial. And the only reason why they haven't been punished is because for the most part, every single one of them have dashes, except for Marquinhos. That's why it's so difficult for him right now to really move up and try and find some intelligence.
And even if Marquinhos isn't the priority target, Steffe becomes the second, because as soon as he doesn't have his leap, then he's in a lot of trouble. He's forced to use abilities, and he's forced, and maybe they can even get some good ultimates, like for an example, in the Nether Realm from Feshin.
Yeah, that's, again, the timing on that is crucial. And as we get further in the game, you know, we're already past that 15-minute mark you guys mentioned earlier. It's going to get more dangerous, right? Especially with Ur here. So if they can stall it out, still going to be going for it, though. Once again, the Guardian Barrier on point. Steffe this time can't be saved. Now Imperial once again down a member.
But I tell you, it's just one after the other. A result of one thing leads to consequences from another.
Steffe just uses the Tyrant's revenge into in an aggressive way, so he can't really jump over the barrier. Once again, it's Miko. Even though he wasn't the main initiator technically, he was the one who made that play happen initially. By just being annoying on this Grok, man, he's able to just walk around, be immune from crowd control, and that's also really limiting Fashin's playmaking. You can't really pull back Miko.
I mean, as much as we talk about like game plans that you said before, you know exactly what comp you want to play, you know what you're expecting from your opponents. The individual performances here from the side of Team SMG have been extraordinary, making this game, you know, move along a lot faster compared to what we usually see.
Yeah, not only that, but just the way things are falling into place, the layering, I should say, of Team SMG and their ultimates and everything else is what is doing the damage to Imperial, right? Other than the fact that, yeah, at this point, you know, Sasa, he's stacked in the items, right? He's exactly, it just takes a couple shots and most likely Imperial is going to be down a member. So how do you play around that? This is the time where they have to be able to utilize these 17 minutes that they've garnered themselves and actually have a good defense against this Lord push.
Well, Arashi, quick thoughts on this. Can Imperial find this flank angle to get on top of Sasa?
I think flanking is exactly what they need, but look at his pick!
Wow, they're going to be able to find Stormy so quickly. Now they have to deal with the Lord. Still keeping it together. Smooth Immortality going to go down. Yur's going to flicker in, chasing down. Sasa on the run. They leave him there. They work for it, but Smooth still alive. Imperial stays in the game, though.
Team SMG getting rocked by Imperial Esports. It's unusual to see Stormy get picked off in this particular manner.
That's when it's the most dangerous, man. You know Imperial has nothing to lose, and they really need to try and find something before the Lord happens. The fact that Stormy was not with his team, I think was a bit of an oversight. And now they're going to push immediately to try and find some more resources, equalize a bit more. We're approaching the 20-minute mark where usually the goal difference starts becoming irrelevant. Now it's all down to execution. And Team SMG, they've been neat so far, but can they keep it up until the end of the game? Because Imperial are gaining momentum.
I don't know. It might actually just backfire here, considering the 4 items already completed, and now for the final item coming in from Aurora, especially with the new changes towards Roger's side, I don't think that Miko can walk up as comfortably, especially if he is healthy.
Looking at the items here, for Ur, he has the great Dragon Spear, by the way. So all these slows coming in from Team SMG, he can kind of deal with it by being speedy. The only real hard crowd control is going to be the hands of Miko, and usually Imperial will force him to use it on other members before Ur is even in the fray.
I mean, okay, I'm thinking of like layers upon layers upon layers here, right? I'm going deep into the conspiracy at this point, right? I'm on Reddit, I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and I think that at this point of time, the front to front from Team SMG seems better, but I think that Imperial so far, if Steffe is able to get the person who is able to peel them off the most, in this case, it's not Smooth, Faraga armor, really annoying, but continuously attack Stormy and priority target being Sasa, if he walks up too far forward, might just be the answer here.
And if they fight in a clumped up formation, it's also going to be very difficult because for the most part, Ur is hitting everyone at the same time. The same can't be said for Sasa. So if Sasa's walking up trying to do damage, say for Stormy, they can get hit by collateral damage from that passive, and that could be what Imperial Esports need.
Again, this is what they could need here if they can actually contest this Lord. Despite the deficit going on, they're on this side of the jungle. Steffe going to take quite a bit of damage though. Wild charge going to be used. Can he get punished? Imperial keeps it together, but Marquinhos going to be in trouble with the last Insanity. Smooth comes out swinging again, and that's another Lord of the hands of Team SMG.
Oh, the timing, the timing. Had they just finished that Lord just slightly quicker, they could have abused the fact that Marquino's death timer is getting really, really long at the 20th minute of the game, just missing it by 2 seconds.
Marquinhos, though, man, it's such a tough game for him to be in. He's just, in the fight, he can't really do much. In the 1v1, he can't really do much. He's forced to just stick with the team, and even when the team tries to back away, he just gets left behind as the rear guard. For Team SMG, that's the ideal circumstances, but look at this, hang on.
Okay. No, wait. Oh, Stefan gonna jump in. Sasa. Oh, it's gonna be saved by Stormy. He goes in. Still gonna be just fine now with Stefan on the run. Aurora's in trouble too. And look at the base. They're gonna put the focus on there. Your falls, Fashion trying to keep it together. Immortality from Sox is gonna go down, but the Lord is now there. Marquino gets back in time. There's chaos everywhere, and Stefan finally falls towards Team SMG's side, but they can't clear it just yet. A couple hits away for the base. They're trying to keep it together. Smooth goes in, and Team SMG will take game 1.
I mean, that's why we nominated him for the MDLMY's Legends here in MY. Didn't even break a sweat, leaning back on his chair, and after the fight was over and looking for that end game, that's when he leaned forward and was like, okay, now it's time to play. Cancels the Kufra's ult, times the Purify perfectly so he doesn't get that initial hit. Disgusting.
What a play, man. SMG showing that even in the early game, they have what it takes, man. You want a slugfest, you want an attrition battle, we're up for it.
They're down. They're so down. I love seeing SMG in this particular fashion because this is starting to show what their peak should look like. And I mean, at the beginning of the tournament, that's why I was really concerned for them because this wasn't the polish that I was used to seeing in the regular season.
Yeah, I feel like they had to make some adjustments themselves, right, over that. But still, given this whole game, the way it went, again, this is longer, I believe longer than our average game time. I think it was like 18 minutes is our average game time, right now for the wild card. And again, they kept things together well, but Imperial, I feel like it was just the momentum, the snowball happened too much, and they were at a point where it's like, you know what, we can't even contest these Lords. We have to just go for something. You know, they were put in that situation, and they tried it. Again, game number 1 here, they might as well have done that, but again, they might have to make some major adjustments for the draft for game 2.
They've revealed a little bit here, and I think, you know, that's the best part about the best of 5s. But in the meantime, let's have a look at our most valuable player. Give it up, everyone. It's going to be Smooth, making sure that those fire missiles are effective, winning out the lane, making sure that Marquino had a tough time. He did it all.
He was literally dominating Marquinhos. And even in the Lord dances, the fact that he is so annoying in the front and he is so unpunishable due to the Tefraga armor, it's a great pick, but it's an even greater execution by Smooth right here. Looking at his optimization, he went for the Ice Queen's one early on as well, and that's partially why Marquinhos on the Terizla, if he wants to get away from Smooth, he is forced to use a penalty zone, and that's just a bit too expensive when they're trying to contest for an objective like the Lord. So I think that is something that Imperial can build on. But for SMG, man, this is the way to go. Dominant laners in the side lanes, I think it's working out really well for them.
It is working out really well for them, but it's teetering on that edge of like, man, if one fight went bad, instantly Imperial could have turned this around.
Yeah, I feel like, again, Clint, a gold laner that we haven't seen pop up too much, right? And there's a reason for that, right? He also takes a little bit of time to build up, but then even you're exposed to a lot of mobility, and that's what kind of lineups are built off now, and that's why you have to rely that Nether Realm. There was a lot of good attempts, right, from Imperio, but Smooth, being the MVP here, he did great in the early game, which allowed him to even further bully Marquino, right? And already that matchup, X-Borg versus Terizla, is not what you want to be on if you're on the end of the Terizla, right? So, and then you get a lead. We saw how much focus was there, and then things kind of fell into place for Team SMG.
As we go into the highlights brought to you by our Grab Unlimited sponsor, I think that especially with the early game, this is what I love seeing from the side of Team SMG, but as we start to rotate out of there, I feel like it was just one big ultimate Jenga tower, you know? Each piece being an ultimate that needs to be used in a particular order.
And for SMG, I think this is a really good approach to deal with the Faramis. Because usually for Imperial, once they get the Faramis, it's just a death ball, right? Moving all around the map, collecting kills again and again, letting Aurora snowball. But this time, with SMG, with this composition, with the Grok and the X-Borg, the final 2 picks, they're able to avoid the bulk of the engages. So what it is that they wait for the right moment, the very easy fights they can take, and then they go in.
And usually that condition is whether or not you have a dash or whether or not you're missing a battle spell at that point of time. And if you can get that Nether Realm out of fashion, then it's go time. But the same can be said for the side of Imperial, right? Let's say, for an example, Saksa is out of the fight or the Faraga armor is broken. But most importantly, if Miko doesn't have that wild charge, that's when you see Imperial just bite back.
Yeah, even here, right? There was some moments where they were able to fight back, and that's something you have to be able to respect from Imperial, given how that early game, that mid game went. But again, some of these timings from Miko were just on point, especially with the Guardian's Barrier, right? The way they worked around that. And just at this point, you know, towards that later part of the game, you're starting to see some of this firepower come through from Imperial. Again, some of these placement issues, these positioning things, and the fact that you can't contest these objectives 20 plus minutes in the game, it gets very difficult to find a winning condition here.
Particularly with the difference in movement speed and mobility, man. I think that's a big problem. If the fight goes fast and everyone commits, I think there is value in the composition of Imperial. But if the fight drags on and SMG can kite back, that's why it becomes very difficult. Hence why, whenever they're able to get a pick-off and force an engage, that's where they really win out. But those members are too few far in between. And looking at the post-game stats right here, every single neutral objective is completely dominated by SMG due to that approach, right? We kite back and then we counter-engage when it's necessary. And if you don't want to actually full commit, it's fine because we have Lilia with the black shoes as well. That is what they were really abusing to chunk down Marquinhos and Steffe before anything even happens.
I think it became very apparent here that the only reason why this game wasn't ending as well quickly as it should have been is because Stormy was getting caught out at awkward times coming in from Steffe. I feel like, you know, Stormy was feeling himself a little bit, right? It's a front to back comp. You're trying to just slow down the front line, let him come into us, just peel, but Stormy's pushing up in the sideways, making sure that the wave management is pristine.
And he had multiple MVPs yesterday, right? So
Exactly.
he comes in today feeling pretty good. But you pointed this out, right? The fact that you went with the flicker instead, you are susceptible to getting bursted down really quickly before you even get a chance to actually use the black shoes, right? So this was something that was apparent for Team SMG, and I feel like if some way, somehow, we got another 5+ minutes for Team Imperial, there probably was a moment where they swing things back, right? There was an opportunity for that. So it was better for Team SMG to end things while they did. And again, it makes me wonder exactly what Imperial wants to do. How do they want to learn from this game, number one? Because most likely, we just got to expect the YSS is going to be permabanned this series.
I think that's definitely something to to expect from Team SMG. I think for Imperial, the big problem that needs to be fixed definitely is in the EXP lane, right? You don't have a solid tank that can move with your team. I think they were expecting a full-on pure team fight, and they're not really understanding the matchup here, leaving it open for the final pick for Team SMG. So they're gonna get something a bit more dynamic, a bit better for Marquinhos, because we've seen what he can do on a Dyrot, for instance, where he was able to get an MVP. Things like that.
But that's the thing, right? It's about picking and choosing what strategy you want to go with. I think in this game of rock, paper, scissors, Team SMG have come out just slightly on top here.
Right.
I do agree with you about the Marquinhos point. I do feel that he did get a little shafted here in the draft because they're sacrificing as much as they can just to make sure that Aurora gets ahead. But the game plan coming up for Team SMG made that even harder.
Well, we have to see the adjustment, man, because the Teresa was picked first, by the way. It was the first pick from Imperial. So if they want to try and hide that matchup a bit more, with how critical the EXP matchup is being in recent times, with the objectives also being more important, the first fight, when it's closer to the EXP lane, is becoming more and more important. So that matchup also needs to be taken a bit more seriously, not only the gold lane.
This is why I want to see, again, going back to the player head-to-head, before we even got to the game, is some growth here, maybe we see a surprise, right, for Aurora alone and how they work around this, because looking at this in the objective department, right, 0-0, Turtles, Lords, very low in the turrets, which they got towards the end there when they had some of those winning skirmishes and team fights. But that's the thing. I feel like when you're going against a caliber of this, and they need to be able to contest those objectives early on. They need to be able to actually initiate those lord dances, because that's what Team SMG is looking for, right? So if that means maybe for game 2 you opt for a utility jungler, we see Aurora kind of go into that play style, that could be the best thing for them.
Or they can double down on the aggression and go for winning lanes. Because if you look at the whole picture, the XP wasn't winning, the Golden wasn't winning, and the mid lane against Lilia definitely wasn't really coming out on top. So if you want to have an aggressive jungler, you have to back it up with aggressive laners to ensure that you can go aggressive. Looking at the cards though, the carry is Euro on the Clint. So the late game damage with the AoE, you know, with the passive, definitely is dangerous. But if they want to use it, they gotta try and get it up to speed, get the power spike a bit earlier into the game.
I mean, if he is going to, again, it's one of those things where do you kind of push your focus into, right? And I think, you know, at least for the side of Team SMG, it was very clear, okay, early game, we're going to go to the EXP side, because we got a winning matchup, and more importantly, they also knew where the Roger actually started on what buff. And because of that, you can immediately draw a circle, draw a pathway of exactly how Imperial is going to actually move around. And I think, you know, this Grok pick coming in from the side of Coach Pal, really smart. I think that it does everything that it needs to do to be able to open up these bushes, to be able to isolate targets, and more importantly, as a very easy disengage tool, as a way to say, hey, Aurora, if you want to be able to chain kill, no, you're only taking me.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, even early on, we kind of wondered if that timing from Miko early on when it resulted in a big win for Team SMG, the use of the wild charge, sometimes he's holding on to it, sometimes he uses it when you might think it's too early, but it's all part of the plan, it seems, right, for Team SMG. So again, you kind of have to, I know we've been talking about Aurora a lot, but this is once, again, it falls on Steph as well, as it has up to this point, right? And even on this Kufra, I feel like he did a relatively great job. He found a lot of initiations for the team when you didn't think they could, right? So again, he's a key component for game number 2 to find those winning lanes that you mentioned, Arashi, if that's what they want to go for. And let's just say, forego some of the objectives early on and they can get the momentum going from the side lanes. That's also a lot on Steffe.
Yeah, I think the roamer making the plays happen is definitely something that has to really work for Imperial, and they have to really start respecting the, you know, the micro execution potential from Team SMG. Because in this game, you saw several moments where, quite frankly, right, Team Imperial just got outplayed in the bottom lane earlier with the jukes, with the dodges, the ultimate cancel to the Kufra as well, and as well as with how they're actually playing the fights, right, how they're able to actually select their targets and path around the danger zones. I think they have to try and understand that that is going to be a big problem, and they have to try and prepare for it as well.
Okay, so some of the adjustments we're expecting coming in from Imperial is going to be along the lines of finding aggressive laners if they still want to play on Aurora. But I want to give you guys, and as well as here at the table, the question of when do you want to sacrifice some of these picks? You know, maybe you're not looking for Aurora's S-tier pick, but maybe take a step back, look to play a more team fight oriented composition. Is that the way that they could potentially take against Team SMG? A new angle, perhaps?
I think they definitely have it in their arsenal, right? I think it's a bit too far-fetched to assume that, oh, Imperial can only play with this playstyle. I think they definitely have adjustments down. We've seen them make adaptations before. So maybe even if it doesn't put Aurora as the star player, it can still be a better option, just considering the matchup, right? Because you brought a lot of MMA analogies in this game, in this matchup. And in MMA, we talk about how styles make matchups, right? Sometimes the guy with the best striking doesn't really do well against the best grappling. So maybe Imperial, for lack of a better comparison, like, can change their striking for something else here that works better.
Maybe judo. Maybe judo.
All I know is wrestling.
All you know is wrestling. That technically, well, I mean, you know what? We're getting deeper and deeper into the fight topics of the overall styles, but we definitely, I get where you're coming from, right? I think that in these types of situations to kind of shake it up, I think they're going to move straight to the blue side. That's number one, right? That's the first step.
Yeah, they could start there. And again, you know, what we're basically talking about is the fact that we need to see the playstyle adapt here for Imperial, right? Because this is Team SMG, for the most part, I feel like they have shown different playstyles, but it's more or less the same. They've just refined it and execute it very well, right? That's what works for them. So Imperial, like you mentioned, Arashi, they have a playstyle that they're known for throughout the wild card and even in their region, but now they're forced to adapt. right? And this is something that's going to happen throughout the entire M5, right? The entire journey, these regions, these teams, even the well-known teams, they're going to have to adapt to some of the new strategies being pulled through. So Imperial, once again, like I said, let's get that utility. Let's get that team effort strategy going on. And yeah, maybe Aurora isn't that shining star, that one getting all those kills this time around, but the rest of the team gets to shine.
Exactly.
I mean, if they, man, we're gonna have to wait until we get into the draft before we confirm this, right? I mean, again, the adaptability can only go so far, and let's not forget that Team SMG were the ones to ban out Yi Shin, and when you ban out Yi Shin, therefore, a lot of other meta picks actually get to slip on through. I'm rather surprised that there wasn't any early consideration for maybe even going for Matilda. Even was that even an option? Was it within the first 3 bans, Rashi? Just to double confirm.
Matilda was banned by Imperial, actually. It's the first ban that they made. So they traded that for basically the Faramis, I think. That was the trade, right? Oh, they get the first pick, they pick the Bruno, we get the Faramis, or vice versa. I think that's why the Terizla pick was a bit rushed, because now we're seeing more and more it's picked in the later stages.
Yeah,
because teams are finding more and more ways to counter it, since it was so dominant just a few patches ago.
Well, I think it's time. Let's get into the drafting phase here for game number 2 in this best of 5 series between Team SMG versus Imperial. Let's see which side they're going to be on.
What's funny is, as someone who is from the MPL Philippine region, and I heard what you said about it over there, Gideon, yesterday. Right, we're known for our Lord dances. It might not be super action-packed, but you know, there's a certain sense of finesse in a Lord dance, an extended one. I feel like Wildcard, we haven't seen that many Lord dances. It's been rather wild, right? And that's why I'm saying, I think now that we know what sides they're going to be on, Imperial, let's see if they can build around that, because I feel like they're going to be forced in that situation with Team SMG here.
Any predictions for first picks, Arashi? Because this time around, I don't know whether Imperial wants to show off what the jungler is going to be, or maybe even the EXP within the first phase.
I think they can get this Bruno here. Ur, as you can see, was the highest damage output, and he can hold his own. But no, they go for the Nolan, man. They want that aggression in the jungle. But now for SMG, they can go for a Faramis. They can counter these assassins, and they can go for the Bruno still if they really want. It's not worth it, though.
So what fighting style are we in now?
Well,
Tai Chi.
We're in Tai Chi. It might convert into Wing Chun later on, but we'll see in a little bit once we get into that second phase. Next 2 picks coming up inside of Team SMG. This time it's going to be Terizla as well as Bruno. I wonder if Marquino wants to get back at Smooth. He's like, you dominated me one game? Maybe I can get an export early on.
This is the question, can Marquinhos play the X-Borg, right? This is where the flexibility of these players are tested, because you can do well on 1 or 2 or even 3 heroes, but even afterwards, once those get taken away contextually or by direct bans, can you still maintain the same kind of performance? Imperial will go for that Faramis though, but I think if they want to go for the Faramis, a prerequisite for this pick is to get solid engages. They can really force your opponents to stay in there. Now that there's a Terizla on the side of SMG, I think that's a bit easier, because we saw what issues Marquinhos was struggling with in game 1.
Well, let's see whether or not this first half is going to be beneficial for him or maybe another teammate, and it looks like no, they're going to lean back into the Clint versus Bruno matchup.
I don't know how I feel about the Clint, man. I know he got to a point, you pointed it out, Arashi, the damage was there. I think it can work good if, for example, they can get the Nolan to go, snowball up, get some early damage out, let the Clint shine later on. But that still begs the question, how's the XP lane matchup going to be?
Yeah, I think it's tough, man. With the EXP once again moving in towards that second half, things are going to start spicing up. Oh, wow, we see an early Cho pickup from the side of Team SMG. And if you don't know who the crowd favorite is going to be here, have a look at the drums. It's hard to hear even ourselves. I can't imagine the coaches screaming, not out of anger at their players, but to quickly lock in their heroes.
Earlier, I turned my headset volume up, and I'm still having trouble hearing the 2 of you.
I'm going to start doing sign language soon, guys.
Yeah, we're going to have to do like non-verbal communication here, because the crowd, dude, the Malaysian crowd, Gideon, your home crowd is absolutely wild, man. This is crazy.
I mean, think about the growth of the crowd, by the way. Yeah. Back the last time I was here in Malaysia, you guys didn't have drums.
We didn't have drums. We actually picked that up pretty recently in our seasons, you know. We learned a lot from our older brothers in MPL ID a little bit, you know.
Hey,
you know,
the Philippines did too.
Oh, that's true.
They
did
too. They learned it there as well.
Oh my goodness.
It's part of the game now, man. The fan base cheering. you have to feel for Imperio, man. Against a home crowd this passionate, you have to be feeling some kind of nerves, right? It might not like derail their whole game plan completely, but it's definitely something they're feeling.
I mean, they're feeling like they're into the nether realm because right now, Farmus is currently most picked. 19 times a mid lane hero, overtaking Valentina. Times are changing. The meta here at Wildcards is so different.
You know, there was a time though, and yeah, I feel like I'm yelling at this point, but there was a time that it was always Valentina and Farmus. You know, so it's like we took 2 steps forward, but we also took a step back.
I gotta bring this question to Arashi, right? Now,
What's up?
let me just quickly wrap up the other bands. Lilia, Phoveus, Minotaur, and as well as X-Born. The mid lane meta has been pretty awkward in recent times, right? The number of picks that you actually have access to has really dwindled down.
I think now it's first of all, you have to have good wave clear. I think now that's a very important part of mid laning that needs to happen. You have to have good wave clear, but then you have to pick between being full utility or full damage. That's what it feels like it's going to happen. So for SMG now, they pick up the Akai also. And we've seen this yesterday, by the way. A Teresa and a Kai, and how sometimes they can really cancel each other out. So you have to wonder if they're going to do that, or are they going to do the plan we saw, I believe, in day 2, where the Teresa will start to engage, but the Akai will split the team apart into 2 segments so that the team fight really falls into their favor.
Which is actually quite beneficial here. Now, we come back to Imperial side, they lock in the Yu Zhong. This is going to be a very volatile matchup between the Teresa. A single kill can skew it into one of these EXP's favors, and there's nothing much you can really do about it. That's just the state of EXP as of right now. But that final pick, it's going to be locked in right here, right now. It's Kufra once again. Stefe crushed it in game number 1, but not enough to get a game win. Team SMG finish it off with a Valentina.
See, this is what I was talking about. This is like a throwback itself, right? Farmus and Valentina, 2 Nether Realms most likely on the board. But still, I like what Imperio did this time. Stefan had a great game, like you mentioned, Gideon. So if he can replicate that and do even better here, they can build around that. And my biggest question mark, once again, is the Nolan. We've seen teams opt for it. It works out well for some, and others, it just falls flat on its face.
Yeah, is it in the same situation as Roger, or what are we thinking here?
I think it's a bit more difficult even compared to the Roger. You have more safety, as in you're a lot more mobile than the Roger, technically jumping over, you can dash over a lot of walls to escape. But at the same time, you need to enter from a very safe angle, because otherwise you are very vulnerable to crowd control, and the only real way you can escape is your main damage tool.
That being said, it is time. Let's test the mettle of both these teams as we head into our second game in this best of 5 between Team SMG versus Imperial Esports.
Whew, look at the battle spots right here. There's some purifiers available, but you have to wonder here in the jungle matchup, it's going to be a utility jungler against a damaged jungler. Who's going to have the better clear? Because Nolan is infamous, but these utility junglers also clears very, very fast.
I don't know about you, but I feel like whoever makes that first mistake in the upcoming turtle fight, it's going to heavily snowball in one team's favor, right? We all see what happens. The turtle goes, the purple buff gets controlled, and Miko looking to find some trades.
See, this is what he does every time, right? So this is why I'm saying Stefe as well, he has to be able to protect Yor, he has to be able to come to these side lanes, help them out if they need, and if they can get some type of win, that would be great, right? Miko does this time and time again, but if they can put things into place before that first turtle, like you mentioned, Gideon, that could be great for Imperio here.
I think Miko here is going to be a big core component in the success of Team SMG. In this early stage where there's so much danger, he is that one hero with so much mobility and built-in shielding, so he can really find some information for his team.
Oh, already with the drag back Stormy. Forced to flicker out. That is what Imperio needed to do. So he's not going to have it for now, at least for a couple minutes. So that should give them that little bit of an advantage for that turtle. Saksa, though, in the mid lane alongside Miko.
That's some great comms coming out for the side of Team SMG. They knew he was on the bottom side, so it's very safe to assume that he's going to be somewhere along that river line, inside that brush. But let's look at the emblems.
Mobility, agility, and wilderness blessing for the Valentina and Cho. And you can see why, man. Because trying to be all over the map as fast as possible. For Saksa, he's full utility. He went for the firmness for a bit of extra tankiness, and he's going for the Season Hunter to ensure that he can just clear and match Nolan in the farming rotations as well. In the EXP lane, though, we're seeing this matchup just being a lot more even. But here we go, man. The first big fight.
going to be a big one. Already getting the dragon form out. Stephanie going to go in. Won't find a target. They just want to battle it out. Looks like Turtle's going to reset. So, Team SMG, happy to get some of these ultimates out.
Extremely happy, in a matter of fact. Like, Black Dragon form is gone. Okay, let's go right in as they contest that purple buff.
Oh, and with that, the Fracture is going to be gone as well. Aurora just trying to get the purple buff. They're probably going to give up the Turtle. Miko caught behind the lines here. Should be a kill for them, but he's going to make some fancy footwork and get out fine.
That's what we're saying, man. For Imperial Esports, they need lockdown. Now that there's not a lot of utility coming from the mid lane, technically, without Fashion exposing himself, they need ways to lock someone down. Seeing the Cho pick so early on in the drafting phase, they don't really have any tools to really lock him down there to ensure that he can't be that pesky nuisance on their sides.
Well, that's only for the time being, right? Eventually, once they get their ultimates, now they have like an almost reliable way, but it's really the onus of Miko. Can he dodge it at the right moment? Now, cutting back over to the awards, the EXP side, Smooth's doing a pretty good job here having that level lead, but notice down on bot side, a lot of importance. The roamers, the junglers are hovering around this gold lane.
For now, no real movements towards each other's junglers. I think for Team SMG, they're happy to just go for this more calm playstyle. It's their identity anyways. And against the NetherRealm, there's always the chance that something can go wrong. So if they want to scale up to the late game, they have a Bruno, they have a Valentina. These are very strong heroes with a lot of damage in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, they're going to be able to work on it. They're trying to get Stormy here. They get the NetherRealm down. Still going to be going for Aurora. Can't catch up to him. Heavy spin going to be utilized to push him out of there. Penalty zone right on top of Aurora. They take him out.
From anti-synergy to really nice synergy.
It's so good coming in from Team SMG, dude. They just come in and they force Aurora into these weird spots. And remember, Aurora is the one working against the clock here. He wants to abuse the assassin early game power spike. The longer the game goes, the more utility has a bit more value. That is what Saksa brings to the table.
But Team SMG, they are playing this a little slow, right? I mean, it's important that this Nolan does get this purple buff, but at the end of the day, I was hoping to see that Team SMG was going to take the initiative to try and take away the purple buff, really slow down this Nolan, simply like how they dealt with Aurora in game number 1.
Again, they just want to put him in a situation where they want him to come and fight them, right? They want to whittle him down a little bit. But yeah, if they can put some pressure there on the purple buff, I'm sure they'll do that. But so far, things have just been falling into place for Team SMG. Even right now, this looks like another turtle going to the hands. Miko gonna flicker out. He took the orange as well.
He took the orange, dude.
Oh, Aurora, not gonna be happy about it. There's the drag back, but Miko's just fine.
It's just not enough damage, right? Aurora really needs to find that very first kill and then start snowballing off of that. And with Smooth dominating his lane at the same time, this is becoming very similar to how game 1 started to look like. I don't expect the lanes to start swapping. I think that right now Team SMG wants to extend the laning phase for as long as possible.
Because they have the mobility advantage right here, right? With the Cho and the Valentina just being everywhere so much faster than Fashion on the Faramis. It's almost like the Faramis pick is kind of giving Valentina just a better ult to have more presence in these big fights. And look at this. Every single time they're trying to set up for something, Miko shows up again and becomes a huge problem. And if they commit to it, they're going to waste a lot of time here once again.
Yeah, I feel like they're just kind of scrambling around right now, and that's what Team SMG is doing so well against Imperio. So Imperio, they have to be able to find something. Get on the board here. Miko going to use the conceal, going to be stopped in his tracks. Forced back though, Sox on the front of it all. Stormy there holding on to his own NetherRealm. But all of this for that turret, they're happy for that.
Okay. Really good gatekeeping. Wait.
Oh, Smooth has the rest of the team. He'll be just fine.
Dang, so many deterrents just walking up like, oh, you want my boy? You got to get through all of us.
Exactly, that's what a Teresa that's on curve can do. That is not what we saw in game number 1. SMG playing a whole different game. See, Miko just zoning, going behind, threatening an engage, and if Imperial doesn't respect it, then there could be a big fight. And slowly but surely, when they are too preoccupied, Sasa just takes down the turrets bit by bit.
I mean, they gotta whittle them down somehow, chip at them, find an opportunity, and now, honestly, the kill count in this game is much, much lower. You know, only first blood achieved by the side of Team SMG. 7 minutes into the game, we haven't seen nothing too crazy just yet, but in terms of pacing, at least Aurora maintains...
Oh, this could be it. They find something. Miko to fall smooth. Gonna be in trouble too. Aurora on the run. There's the nether realm. But Stormy and Sasa here next. Marquita goes in, gets the Petrify off to work on it. Step in there as well. They're gonna be zoned out. Can you get there in time to put the damage out? He's stuck against the wall. Still gonna be going. Marquino falls. Your backs off. Only Marquino's down. The trade.
Holy, what a fight!
What a sequence, it's back and forth, but that's Imperio equalizing. But look at the goal difference, it's still up there because of the farming difference. Miko now making a play.
Oh, the bola comes through, keeps Miko in his tracks.
Ooh, that reaction time! Now, while that entire fight was happening, the backline of Imperial Esports was kiting away, and Smooth actually flickered forward to try to take on a 2v1 while he was low, and he was darn close at completing it.
That's one of the rare moments in this game so far where Team SMG aren't the ones initiating, aren't the one in control.
Oh, there it is
though.
Imperial's gonna be the one initiating here. Stefe gonna run back, chase down. Heavy spin on Ur, he's trying to get away. The rest of the team has to get there. Nether realm for him. They're still gonna fight it out, but Imperial has to disengage.
Oh man, this game is just rubber banding back and forth from both of these sides. Nobody wants to give their opponent an inch, and if they find a kill, they're looking for a trade. And I'm expecting that Imperial Esports this time, they want to trade, but unfortunately, not until Stefe is back.
They lost multiple ultimates in that fight as well. Team SMB used a bit, but they still had 3 while they were going for that Lord. Stormy now also getting the Lightning Truncheon. That means that for Imperio, now it's not just physical damage they have to worry about. They gotta be worried of, out of nowhere, having a surge of burst damage coming in from Stormy on the mid lane.
I am a little curious about the items, though. I would like to have a look at it just to kind of see the pacing of where Aurora is, but wait, hold on.
They might try to find something again. Sox are gonna heavy spin, find Steppe for the lockdown, waiting for the rest of the team to make their way. Smooth also joining the fight from the backside, looking for his own entrance. They're gonna find Steppe, he's caught out. Way of the Dragon comes through. Do they continue on? The penalty zone finds one. Fashion, can he get away? Stormy jumps in, gets the kill, and he's caught under the turret. But another run comes through again for Team SMG. Meanwhile, on the top side, gets taken out by Sasa, and Team SMG running into the top side with the Lord.
That this can't be real right now. It feels like Team SMG are empowered by the crowd behind us, because now they're getting on with this. They're aggressive.
See if they can keep it together. Once again, Marquino takes a couple shots. They still want more. Aurora in trouble. Gets taken out easily from Team SMG. Working on the mid turret. Lord's finally gone. Can Imperial stay in the game?
Team SMG don't even have to back away. They can stay here if they want to. Steppe goes in.
Steppe gonna jump in. Still gonna be fighting for more. Miko gets the kick again. Fashion's out. Penalty zone gonna be used. Smooth quite low, but Marquino's out. And Team SMG is powered by the crowd and will get the match point.
God dang! What a game! It was just a seesaw, kids at a seesaw, and then as they grow older and older, they're realizing, man, the weight distribution is just too big. We can't balance this out. Team SMG, so much riding on them.
That's crazy, man. It started with them being so tentative, so careful. In the end, it's a slugfest. Woo! No quarter given, man. They just kept going at it non-stop. The referee had to step in there.
The ref had to call it quits like, hey, guys, we need a breather. You can't punch him in the back.
The ref got injured.
The ref gets injured. In these cases, don't worry, no marshals were hurt in this broadcast. But man, what a game that we have before us. I mean, it's not like Team SMG is, well, outplaying certain situations. I would say that even Imperial themselves are making them fight for every single one of these inches, but once we started to get into that later stages of the game, man, the decision-making, one important really bad decision coming in from Imperial made them lose an inhibitor turret. And unfortunately, all points across the map, I thought for sure maybe Bruno was going to die in these spots, but no. Bot side wins, top side wins, inhibitor towers fall at the same time.
I think that the gum and the riding on the hand is paying dividends right now, especially for Miko, because the way that he found some of those Way of the Dragons in the midst of everything was just on point. The right target every single time. And that is something difficult to do because, again, this game, you have the same pick for Stefe, but he was not really able to find any setups this time for the team. Anything to help turn the tide of the momentum building there for Team SMG.
Maybe Miko has a curse technique.
Ooh.
A writing curse technique. And on his hand, whatever he writes, the different words give him power. I bet it says dare to be great.
Just there to be great?
Yep.
That might just be it, man. But right now, let's take a look at the MVP brought to you by the Republic of Gamers.
There he is. Oh!
Discipline!
It says discipline.
Love it. Saksa coming up big time for the team. You have to love this, man. He's coming in 3-0-3 with a 60% kill participation, but boy, was this a slugfest.
And he was a big part of it, man. Tanking all the damage, providing the utility. That's also why it was so difficult for Imperial to find those pickoffs, man. These beefy members in the front, Terizla and Cho. On top of that, Terizla and Akai, and on top of that, the Cho behind them as well. There's just so many problems for them to really try and figure out. And while that's happening, there's a ton of damage coming out from the backline too.
Yeah, I feel like Sasa was having the time of his life. Half the time, we cut on over to him from the observers. He's just standing still. He's just kicking balls. He's just like, yep, I'm having the time of my life. I don't have to kite. I don't have to do much. The rest of my team is doing that for me.
I have a phrase for this in MPL Philippines. I call it the gold lane experience.
Oh, that's a good one.
If you can just have that kind of gameplay where, hey, you don't have to worry about too much, man. You can just farm up in your lane, get to where you need to be, rely on the rest of the team to do everything, and then you pop off later on. That's the gold lane experience, and I feel like that's, again, what they had here.
Yep, in the highlights brought to you by Grab Unlimited, we saw a lot of these moments, right? I think Imperial had some really good ideas, but unfortunately, just the way that Team SMG likes to go for these disengages, there's so many tools to do so.
And you have to remember that this one fight, they got a pick off, but it's always on Miko, man. This man was so annoying that Imperial used multiple ultimates to catch him off, and as a result, they get punished after. And that seems like the beginning of the end, because that's where the laning phase officially ended, and from there, with that winning fight, SMG just went wild. And even here, that play, he survived that, by the way, with a Netherrealm.
Yep, he does. Just everything that could have gone wrong for Imperial, especially here at that 9th minute, went wrong. And it's really unfortunate to see how things started to snowball out of control. I don't know how much of the crowd had to play a part of this, but considering how loud they are, it's already affecting us here on the desk. The support is incredible.
The arena right now is absolutely crazy, man. We can barely hear ourselves in the middle of the game, dude. Y'all need to chill out.
They can't. It's home turf.
Home turf.
Look, I mean, this is match point for the side of Team SMG, right? If Imperial has pocket strats to pull out, if Imperial needs to crack the code, it is right now. It's a 2-10 score line, and one of the faster games coming up for Team SMG. 10 minutes! I haven't seen this in a long time.
For some reason, I didn't even know it was 10 minutes right there, right? I mean, it seemed like things just quickly collapsed for Imperio here. And that's what I'm saying, you know, when you draft something like this, again, this was very similar to what we talked from Game 1 draft. Like, it's risky. You have to be able to pull it off early on, because if you are not able to, you have this tendency to get shut out by these early skirmishes, these early sets, these early objectives. Again, 0-0. And specifically the turtles. Like, if we could just start there for Imperial, right?
Yeah.
Get that point where you can contest the first turtle even. If you, whatever that has to be for them for game number 3, they're facing match point here against Team SMG. They need to be able to fix that alone and then approach, hopefully get to that point where then you can allow Ur to get where he needs to be. This is the second time we've seen the Clint. It's not doing too hot in terms of statistically.
And you're on the Clint, he was running the weapon mastery as well, but 10 minutes, bro. It's not going to really take effect right there. And that's, I think, the idea behind SMG. They have such good execution and such good game plan. And for the most part, Imperial has good ideas, but as a whole, they're not really sure what to do in minute 2 or minute 5, right? At this moments in the game, they seem to be quite confused and trying something, but they don't really have a long laid out roadmap on how they're supposed to achieve that victory, get to those team fights.
Actually, I disagree with that. I disagree because mainly the way that Miko was kind of revealing the plans on those rotations made it particularly difficult, right? Getting that early walk in to figure out where the jungle was going to be. And then as soon as they sniffed out where Steffe was, a lot of the things started to fall in place. They figured out who was going to be the spearhead and which side of the map they were going to attack on, and they could rotate accordingly, allowing rich guy Sasa to come up with 824 gold per minute. And of course, Stormy, the forgotten one, with 6 assists, being able to support all the holes.
We think that the Faramis is going to be the more supporty type mid laner. The Valentina should be doing the damage, but if you look at the cards, man, Fashion is the carry, and the forgotten one instead is Stormy. And I do wonder if that's the main problem here, because we saw for Imperio, they switched out the laners, right? They tried to find a better matchup, a more winning solution. But then for SMG, it seems like that roaming squad, right? The roamer, mid lane, and jungle, that's what really swings the balance in favor of the side laners.
That's again why I always point out, you know, the way that Team SMG has worked so much on every single lane, right? There's a reason why through the wildcard 2, the MVPs from their winning games, winning performances, has been pretty much spread across the board, right? For the most part, everybody does such a great job, and even Miko, right? The effect he has alone, just on a Cho, to be able to put pressure where he needs to, find the targets he has to, it does so well for the rest of the team, and that's why I love to see, even with the Bruno priority here for them, Sasa gets to shine so much and have, once again, that experience in the gold lane that allows him to shine later on.
So how do we get around this? How does Imperial take, again, step-by-step process, right? We don't need a massive solution, but maybe simple fixes here and there could potentially stop the bleeding early on.
The early game, the problem is, as you said, Gideon, SMG keeps denying it, right? So I think if they really want to try and get something more definite, they need stronger lockdowns. Of course, that also leads to other problems in other aspects, but at this point, I think it's quite well worth a try, right? Maybe if they can get this, more catches, then they can lead to more snowball, and then from there, maybe it goes to that 1v1 micro outplay style that Imperial likes, and maybe then they'll have a bit of a chance.
I don't know about this one. I feel like, number one, it really comes down to the way that you approach that draft, and I think Coach Pano as well as Analyst Lung have done a phenomenal job on both blue as well as red side. Maybe the consideration coming in from Imperial is maybe, hey, I know Aurora is our star player, but I think the rest of our team needs to be able to step up, and they can't do that without the right tools. Somebody always has to sacrifice in these drafts, and I think Aurora might have to take the first one here in game number 3.
That's what we were saying even from the previous game, the way that ended, right? This is now the time where, Aurora might have to step back here for a little bit, go for the utility if he can, and then work around that, build around that.
Yeah, considering with all the plays that have been happening here today and the past couple of series, let's have a look at the Kadia play of the day. Because when we talk about Aurora, I think about this moment in my sleep sometimes.
It's been only one day, I think. So in your sleep, Gideon, that's pretty extreme. But that's how good this play was, man. He was in a bad spot, but there he just showed again the mastery of the hero, knowing how to outplay it, and he's willing to stay there on a squishy marksman hero and just trade toe-to-toe.
Out of the pan, into the fire. This time, we're going to be bringing the 2 players that have made some significant impacts for the team. Aurora, the off-meta Maestro, and Miko, the untouchable, the player with the most deathless games, and M5 wildcards as a roamer.
Wow, well, look at those. I mean, again, the Cho, the Matilda, and this is why we've been kind of pointing him out, because Miko, the capability that he has to kind of psych some of these opponents out, even without really committing to setups. A lot of the times we see roamers and just go for it half the time. Sometimes Miko, his whole job is just to fake them out, right? And then build on that. So, and again, I love non-meta hero picks. I love that, right? But this might call for a moment, now that they're facing the match point, that maybe, again, you let Aurora take the backseat, just this one. Let's see if they can get one on the board for the series, right? To get us to a game 4 and let the rest of the team, because that's the thing. If you go with something risky, like the Nolan or like that, the rest of the team has to pick up from there. So let's see if they can switch it around.
Yeah, if they can switch it around, it would be exciting to see them play a more, what we're used to here in Southeast Asia. And maybe that could potentially do something. But with that being said, it looks like we're getting information. Something's happening, maybe backstage, maybe on the stage. We're going to be throwing it over to an interview. Take it away.
Thank you very much, casters. And now it's match point for Team SMG. And with me and Mara is the brother of the mage prodigy, Stormy. Harris is here. And here, we need an insight. You've been at the crowd.
Yeah.
You've been cheering on Team SMG. Show us a little bit. How was the energy during the games?
The energy? Well, I think you guys should come to Geospace and experience it by yourself. We have been screaming out our lungs, all our voices. You guys should come here and feel the experience. Look at this, guys. It's so beautiful.
Let's get a sample. Let's get a sample. Let's get them hyped up.
Geospace, make some noise. Let's go.
So this is your brother, your little brother?
Yeah, yeah.
You're the eldest?
Yeah.
How many of you are there?
There's my sister's here.
The sister. Let's show the beautiful sister. Who else is here?
My mom.
The mom is here?
Our relatives, my cousins, my uncles, and my aunts is here.
So the entire family is here.
Yeah.
It's a very big family, by the way.
How many? How many?
Yeah, there will be like 10 to
10?
15.
15? Oh my
person in
God.
I thought he was going to say 10,000, and I would believe it.
There's
It's
a
a
whole
very
group
big
of
family.
people. So give us an insight of how the entire family is feeling, because right now your brother is one game away from making it to his very first World Championship.
I think as a family member and as an SMG fan, obviously, we are confident that we are one game away to M5. So let's give all our best and support them to this very end. Let's go!
Speaking of which, as a brother, I gotta say, Stormy is one of my favorite players to watch. He's the mage prodigy. He's very aggressive. How proud are you that he's been in the Mobile Legends Professional League for quite a while, and now again, like we said, one win away from going to the World Championship? How proud are you, and how proud is the entire family?
At this moment, on this international stage, and on this proud moment at all costs, I think I'm really proud at his abilities to show all Malaysians that he's proven that he's the best mage in our country. So let's give him all the support. Let's give every player, not only him, other players as well. And obviously, homeboys are in the M5 groupings already. Yeah, let's give them support as well there. Let's go, boys. Let's go, boys. Woo!
For that one, you kind of need a break, right? Because he dealt with so much for the first two games, and then he comes out swinging here on this Dara pick. A pick that you're not really expecting here. What a performance from him.
Just came back with a vengeance, and he didn't even like juke us out with the break call there. But yes, Marquinhos surprised us all the exact same way, man. This is why the Direwolf was respect banned eventually. So we'll see if that actually becomes a thing, because you take out one thing, others come through. So the fact that Marquinhos now has flexed out his Direwolf pick, this might just become a catalyst to really enable the rest of his team to really find more picks that can work against SMG.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because usually when you have damaged Dyrals, you get punished very, very hard. It's like, yes, you win the lane, but then how do you